1. The Amityville Horror, extended version. This story begins in 1974, when a brutal murder occurred in a quiet house on Ocean Avenue. Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family, his parents and 4 siblings. He claimed a voice commanded him to do it. The house remained empty for a year until George and Kathy Lutz and their children grew up there. From the very first days, the family began to notice strange things. Doors and windows would swing open in the middle of the night. The house smelled of sulfur and burning, without any apparent source. Sticky discharge appeared on the walls. Kathy would wake up with bruises. The children complained of someone walking in the rooms. George would wake up every night at precisely 3:15, the time of the DeFeo murders. One day, Kathy saw the figure of a woman in white. The daughter began to say she had befriended a certain Jeffy, an evil creature with red eyes. After 28 days, the Lutzes abandoned the house at night and fled, leaving their belongings behind. To this day, they believe they experienced a true nightmare. The house has become one of the most famous haunted places in the United States. 2. The Curse. The case of the Perron and Warren family. In the early 1970s, the Perron family moved into an old farmhouse in Rhode Island. The first few days were quiet, but soon footsteps began to be heard at night. Objects would slide smoothly across the floor. Doors would creak and open. The children saw strange people who disappeared right before their eyes. The mother, Carolyn Perron, began to experience constant weakness, as if someone was sucking something out of her. One day, she discovered cuts and bruises on her body, like invisible phenomena inflicted on her skin. The family called in Ed and Lorraine Warren, a paranormal investigator. They suspected the house was haunted by the spirit of the witch Bathsheba Sherman, who in the 19th century gave birth to children as sacrifices to a demon. When the Warrens attempted an exorcism, Carolyn began screaming in a strange voice, her body bent at an unnatural angle. According to the family, the house was indeed held captive by a force, and even after they left, they felt haunted by an invisible force for a long time. 3. The Exorcist. The story of the boy who became a movie. In 1949, a 14-year-old boy, referred to in documents as Robbie, suddenly began acting strangely. First, thumping sounds were heard in the house. Then furniture moved spontaneously. Scratches and words appeared on the child's body, as if inflicted from within. The cold was accompanied by a sudden change in voice. Robbie spoke in languages he had never heard before. His parents took him to the primates and used protective equipment during the exorcism. During the rituals, the boy became incredibly strong. Grown men could barely restrain him. He growled, spat, and screamed that they would never let him go. During the rising ritual, he rose above the bed and a lamp exploded in the room. After several weeks of torment, the boy suddenly calmed down and no further phenomena occurred. But the priest who participated in the exorcism claimed that true evil had occurred at that moment. 4. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Based on Ed Gein. The film is inspired by the actions of Ed Gein, a resident of Wisconsin. In the 1950s, he lived in an isolated house filled with horrific discoveries. After the arrest, the police discovered masks made of thin leather, bowls made from skulls, a chair upholstered in thin leather, as well as a suit made from women's skin, which Ed wore in an attempt to create his own material. Although Gein didn't use a chainsaw, his story inspired screenwriters. His mother's obsession, necrophilia, and precise reconstructions of bodies, all of this became one of the most terrifying films in history. His house was called a museum of nightmares, and the perpetrator became a symbol of the madness and horror lurking beneath the mask of an ordinary person. 5. The Blair Witch Project. The disappearance of 3 students. In 1994, 3 students came to the Black Hills Forest to film a documentary about the Blair Witch legend. They planned to spend 2 days there but got lost. At first, they heard whispers at night. Then, strange figures made of branches began to wander around. Screams echoed through the forest. One of the participants, Joshua, went missing, and his moans were heard in the tent that night, as if from far away. The last camera discovered showed one of the guys standing facing the wall, motionless, as if under the control of something. Then the camera fell, and silence. The missing people were never found. Their equipment lay deep in the forest. 2. The Curse. The Perron and Warren case. In the early 1970s, the Perron family moved into an old farmhouse in Rhode Island. The first few days were quiet, but soon footsteps began to be heard at night. Objects would slide across the floor. Doors would creak and open on their own. The children saw strange people who disappeared right before their eyes. The mother, Carolyn Perron, began to feel a constant weakness, as if someone was draining her energy. One day, she discovered cuts and bruises on her body. as if invisible claws had raked her skin. The family called paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. They theorized that the house was haunted by the spirit of the witch Bathsheba Sherman, who in the 19th century sacrificed children to a demon. When the Warrens attempted a banishing seance, Carolyn began screaming in a strange voice, her body arching at an unnatural angle. According to the family, the house was truly possessed, and even after they left, they continued to feel haunted by an invisible force for a long time.